First locked eyes down in Panama City, spring break 2008. I was a young bud.
Within educational theory, Lev Vygotsky stands as one of the most influential and most taught theorists for all of education. His theories stand as the foundation for what many students are working on, learning, and working towards. His theories, such as the zone of proximal development, really helps to guide teachers in how they interact with students in the classroom. To quote Lev Vygotsky, the distance between the actual developmental level as determined by independent problem solving and the level of potential development as determined through problem solving under adult guidance or in the collaboration of a more capable peer is the zone of proximal development. But what does that mean? So looking at a student who doesn't understand a problem, doesn't know how to work through a problem, is how this works. Teachers, educators, or stronger peers are working with a student who doesn't know how to solve a problem and helping guide them to the end state, helping guide them to the answer at the end. So children's educational and sociocultural development stages really vary. And what is varied on and what's different about each one of them is their individual peer interactions along with adult influences and a child's willingness to cooperate within a classroom. The zone of proximal development goes on to say that learning is not a sign of development, but rather a psychological function derived from a child's surroundings. Coming with these theories from the early 20th century, Lev Vygotsky took what he saw, and his work is based off of other cognitivists from the time, such as Paget, and then really dove into what they said and developed his own theories based off of that. Education is not just sitting in a classroom with someone talking to students and lecturing, but Vygotsky saw it as more education is a developmental process by which children interpret their surroundings and how they make sense of the information. As the founder of social constructivism, Vygotsky adopted a different approach from what other theorists had said, stating that learning is less assimilation and more closely related to how an individual integrates into a society and learns from those around him. Learning is not just an individual, but a group process. The zone of proximal development is what this is founded off of. Now, even though Vygotsky never used the term scaffolding, the thought process and the theory of scaffolding that is taught now, the terms are almost synonymous. So with scaffolding, you're taking a student who doesn't know information and providing them with a problem that they cannot solve on their own. This is where peer study groups, teachers, authoritative figures come in, because through taking a problem that they don't know and then working through it with that productive struggle and then developing the skills, the critical thinking skills and the problem solving skills to work through that problem with a little bit of guidance or a little bit of push is what helps them to boost their confidence and realize that, hey, I can do this, I can succeed. And the end result is the student is learning as they go to get to the correct answer. Looking at other theories from the time, Vygotsky's sociocultural developmental theory also came out around this time and is still used heavily within classrooms. Essentially, the emotional connection to a subject or the emotional connection to a topic really develops how a student is going to succeed, grow, and then learn the material. By having an emotional connection, it really strengthens the student's want to learn, and then on top of that, ingrain that material into the long-term memory for a student or a learner. Going further into the sociocultural developmental theory, Vygotsky, standing as the father of social constructivism, encourages group learning and teamwork. Now, the sociocultural theory directly involves interaction and engagement from important persons in a child's life, parents or teachers. And by having that emotional connection to these people and a positive educational experience can really shape, for the better or for the worse, a child's aspirations, personal goals, and educational career. Now, looking at emotions and emotional connections, Vygotsky was opposed to some of the neo-Darwinism and Darwinism's approach to emotions. Darwin himself states that emotions are simply evolutionary remnants, but Vygotsky was so opposed to this that he looked into it, dove into it, and found that emotions are developed in the same part of the brain as psychological functions. So if an emotion is a psychological function, then how is it really, or how can it be, an evolutionary remnant? Now, this stands to be contrasted with neo-Darwinism today, since there's really very little research that's been done on the differences between emotions between animals and human beings, which is why this stands as a point of contention in the classroom or within research. In summary, the early 20th century has theories and developmental concepts that still ring true in a modern classroom. Through the sociocultural developmental theory, or the zone of proximal development, these educational theories have helped to shape how educators interact with students and have really changed the pedagogical approach and how it's used in a classroom.